My girlfriend told me, let's just be friends. I simply replied, perfect. From that moment on, I treated her exactly like any other friend, with clear boundaries and no expectations. She finally understood what just friends really meant when I started dating her beautiful coworker. The words hit me like a slap across the face, even though they were delivered with a dramatic sigh and a faux gentle smile. I think we should just be friends. It felt like a punch to the gut, not because I was heartbroken, but because of the sheer audacity of what came next. The early morning sun streamed through the large, arched windows of the coffee shop, painting golden stripes across the worn wooden tables. The clatter of ceramic mugs and the hiss of the espresso machine usually soothed me, but today, they only amplified the thrumming tension in the air. Across from me sat Chloe, her hands wrapped around her latte like a shield, her expression carefully composed, utterly devoid of the nervousness that usually preceded any difficult conversation between us. We'd been together for 1.5 years, Chloe and I. Not a tumultuous, passionate affair, but a slow, comfortable burn that, over time, had begun to flicker. It was a gradual erosion, one of those relationships where you keep telling yourself it's just a phase, a rough patch. But the affection dwindled, replaced by an increasingly sharp sarcasm, a subtle critique in every glance. Everything I did, somehow, was just slightly wrong. Then, 2 months ago, came the coffee invitation. I knew, deep down, what it meant. Chloe never initiated talks, unless her mind was already made up, sealed, and delivered. I think we should just be friends, she repeated, her voice soft, almost saccharine. Not take a break, not work on things. Just friends. She took a deep breath, like a seasoned actress delivering her most poignant line. You're really important to me, Ethan. I just don't see you that way anymore. I waited, my breath held tight in my chest, for the explanation, the nuance, the why. There was none. Just that empty space hanging between us. So I took a sip of my own coffee, trying to ignore the bitter taste in my mouth, and said, okay, perfect. Her composure cracked. Her eyes blinked, wide with surprise. Wait, really? Yeah, I replied, a strange calm settling over me. Friends. A visible wave of relief washed over her. A smile bloomed, and she started gushing, explaining how mature this was, how she didn't want to lose me, how I was one of her best people. She even joked, nothing will really change. That last part I didn't correct, because, in my head, something clicked. I wasn't angry. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just clear. Friends, I realized, have rules. Friends don't get boyfriend privileges. Friends don't get unlimited emotional labor on demand. Friends don't get access to my time just because they're bored or lonely. I paid for my coffee, wished her good luck, and walked out. A new chapter had begun, though she had no idea. That night, my phone buzzed. A meme from Chloe. Then another. Then, hey, what you up to? It was then I understood. She thought just friends meant same attention, zero responsibility. I decided not to argue. I decided to show her instead. The shift was immediate, and even I was surprised by its starkness. The morning after our friends' talk, she texted, "Did you sleep okay?" I didn't reply until after work. Not out of spite, but because I was genuinely busy with my life, a fact she apparently hadn't considered in this new arrangement. When I finally did respond, I kept it light, friendly, but utterly devoid of warmth. Yeah, hope you're good. No follow-up question, no opening for the long, winding emotional check-in she was used to. She noticed. That evening my phone rang.
Chloe.
Not a FaceTime, just a regular call, like she expected my undivided attention, my private ear. I let it ring twice, maybe 3 times, before picking up. "Hey," she said, her voice a little breathless. "You sound distant." "I'm not," I replied, walking into my kitchen, the sound of my sneakers on the floor a little too loud. "Just got back from the gym." There was a pause, heavy with unspoken accusation.
Oh.
"You usually text me when you get home." "Yeah," I said, a faint smile playing on my lips. "Usually." She laughed, a thin, awkward sound. "Okay. So, What are you doing tonight? I thought about it for a second, then answered honestly. Grabbing dinner with a friend. Her tone perked up. Oh, who? Just a friend, I said. I could almost hear her annoyance crackle through the phone. Which one? My smile widened. Does it matter? Another pause, longer this time. Well, I just thought maybe we could hang out, she said, her voice dropping into a wistful register. Like old times, as friends. There it was. The expectation. Can't tonight, I said. Maybe another time. She let out a sharp, theatrical sigh. Wow. You changed fast. No, I said calmly. We did. She didn't like that. I could feel her irritation growing. I didn't mean we stopped talking. We didn't, I countered. We're talking right now. Silence. After we hung up, the truth hit me with astonishing clarity. She wasn't missing me. She was missing access. The constant reassurance, the unwavering availability, the safety net of knowing I was always there, ready to prop her up whenever she felt bored, insecure, or lonely. Friends don't work like that. Over the next few days, I stayed consistent. I treated her exactly like I treated any other friend. I didn't cancel plans for her. I didn't answer her texts immediately. I didn't play therapist when she vented about work. And she started pushing back. Little comments, little digs. Must be nice not caring anymore. You're acting kind of cold. I guess I mattered less than I thought. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just kept my boundaries firmly in place. That's when the subtle meanness started. The kind that seeps out when someone realizes they've lost control, but refuse to admit it. About a week into our friendship, she stopped pretending everything was fine. She'd reply slower, then double text frantically if I didn't engage the way she expected. Vague messages popped up. Wow. Guess I know where I stand. When I asked what she meant, it was always, nothing. Forget it. Classic. One evening, she asked if I could help her move a bookshelf. Normally, I would have dropped everything. Instead, I checked my calendar, genuinely busy. I can't tonight, I replied. You never used to say no, she snapped. I know, I said. That was when we were dating. A long, loaded silence followed. You're really leaning into this friends thing, huh? She scoffed, a brittle laugh following. That was your idea. God, you're being so literal. I didn't mean you'd stop showing up for me. I almost pointed out that friends don't expect free manual labor on demand, but I bit my tongue. No lecture, no explanation, just boundaries. Then came the guilt tripping. She'd casually drop memories into conversation. Remember when you used to come over just because? Or, my friends keep asking why you don't care anymore. It was framed as concern, but it was an accusation wrapped in nostalgia. I remained polite, warm even, but firmly unavailable. The turning point was a text message. We were chatting about something innocuous, work-related, when she casually dropped, "It's kind of weird seeing you act like you don't want me anymore." I stared at my phone, a cold anger coiling in my gut. Act. Like I don't want her? I typed slowly. I don't want you. You said we're friends. That hit a nerve. She fired back instantly, a storm of capital letters. Wow. So that's how easy it was for you. Easy. Like I'd been waiting for permission to detach? Like the year and a half before that hadn't slowly worn me down to nothing? No. I typed. It wasn't easy. It's just clear. She didn't respond for the rest of the night. The next morning, though, she posted a story. A selfie, her eyes wide and mournful, with the caption, "Some people only care when they're needed." I watched it, set my phone down, and went about my day. I knew exactly what was happening. She didn't want me as a boyfriend. She just didn't want me to stop acting like one. Things took a noticeable turn when she realized guilt wasn't working. Her strategy shifted. Suddenly, she was sweet again. Random check-ins, compliments that felt a week late. "You've been looking really good lately," she texted one afternoon, followed by a winky face I hadn't seen since we were actually together. I replied with a single thumbs-up emoji. It did not land well. That evening, she asked if I wanted to grab a drink. "Just like old times," she said, "as friends." I agreed, but on my terms. One drink, public place, no late night wandering back to anyone's apartment. She showed up dressed like it was a date. Not casual, but intentional. The kind of outfit she used to wear when she wanted attention but refused to ask for it directly. 5 minutes in, she was already complaining. "You've been really distant," she accused, stirring her drink aggressively. "I feel like you're punishing me." "I'm not," I said, my voice even. "I'm treating you like a friend," she scoffed. "Friends don't act like this." "My friends do," I replied, a flicker of something sharp in my eyes. "They don't expect exclusivity or emotional priority." Her jaw tightened. "So, you're just what? Waiting to replace me?" I shrugged. "I'm living my life." That's when she leaned back and said, "I didn't think you'd move on this fast." I didn't correct her. I hadn't moved on in the way she meant. I'd simply moved out of the role she kept trying to force me into. Halfway through the drink, she asked, "Are you seeing anyone?" "No," I said. Her shoulders relaxed instantly. She didn't even try to hide it. Then, she added casually, "Good. I'd hate if things got awkward between us." That was the moment I understood everything. She didn't want me. She wanted me available. When we left, she tried to hug me, a long, familiar embrace. I stepped back and gave her the same quick, polite side hug I'd give a coworker. Her smile froze. "You're really serious about this?" she said, her voice small. "Yeah," I replied. "You asked for friends." She watched me walk away, like she'd just realized a rule she'd made didn't work in her favor. And a few days later, completely by accident, I met someone who made all of this very inconvenient for her. Her name was Olivia. I didn't meet her in some dramatic, movie-worthy way. Olivia worked in marketing at a tech company down the street from my office. We'd crossed paths a few times in the elevator, exchanged polite smiles, nothing more. The kind of person you register as attractive but don't think about again. Until one evening, Chloe texted me, "You busy?" for the third time that week. Instead of staying home out of habit, I decided to actually go out. A coworker had invited me to a casual happy hour. Olivia was there. She was warm in a way that felt foreign after months of walking on eggshells. She laughed easily, asked questions, and actually listened to the answers. Didn't interrupt, didn't make little jokes at my expense. At one point, she said, "You seem really grounded," like it was a genuine compliment, not a setup. I remember thinking how strange it felt to not feel evaluated, to simply exist. We talked for maybe 40 minutes. Nothing flirty, just easy. When she mentioned she worked with Chloe, same building, different floor, it barely registered. At the end of the night, she said, "A few of us are grabbing coffee this weekend if you want to join." I said yes. I didn't text Chloe about it. Didn't feel the need to. 2 days later, I posted a harmless story. Group shot. Coffee cups. Nothing incriminating. Olivia was tagged by someone else, not me. An hour later, my phone buzzed. "Chloe, is that Olivia from my office?" I stared at the message, then replied honestly. "Yeah, we're friends." That word again. Friends. She didn't reply for a while then. Wow, that was fast. I almost laughed. Fast compared to what? The emotional limbo she'd put me in? The months of slow detachment? I typed back. "You said you wanted to be friends." 3 appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I didn't mean like this. I set my phone down. For the first time since the breakup, something felt genuinely new. And I had a feeling she was about to learn that just friends doesn't mean still mine when I feel like it. Things escalated quickly. The next time Chloe texted me, the tone was different. Sharp, defensive. "So, you're really hanging out with Olivia now?" I replied the same way I'd reply to any friend asking a question. "Yeah, we're getting coffee again this week." She didn't respond for a few minutes. Then, "You know that's weird, right?" Weird made me smile. A month ago, she was comfortable rewriting the rules of our relationship on the fly. Now suddenly rules mattered. "Why is it weird?" I asked. "Because you and I are still," she trailed off, then corrected herself. "Friends, so are Olivia and I." That's when the bitchiness stopped being subtle. She started sending paragraphs. How this felt disrespectful. How it was kind of shady to date someone she worked with. how Olivia wasn't even that great and had a reputation for flirting with everyone. The bitterness leaked through every single sentence. I didn't defend Olivia. I didn't attack Chloe. I just kept responding calmly, evenly, like I would with any friend who was overstepping. I don't see the issue, I wrote. Friends don't get veto power over each other's dating lives. That message set her off.
Wow.
So now you're trying to hurt me on purpose. There it was. The assumption that my life decisions revolved around her emotional comfort. I'm not doing anything to you, I replied. I'm just not prioritizing you anymore. She left me on read for the rest of the night. The next morning, she posted another story. This one less vague, a quote about fake people and watching who switches up when they think you're replaceable. I almost admired the lack of self-awareness. Later that day, Olivia texted me. Hey, just a heads up. Your ex was pretty cold to me at work today. Did I step into something? I stared at the screen, then typed back, honestly, you didn't do anything wrong. She just doesn't like boundaries. Olivia replied with a laughing emoji and said, good to know. That ease, that lack of drama. It felt unreal. And that's when it hit me. Chloe wasn't upset because I was dating. She was upset because I was doing it without asking her first. And she was running out of ways to pretend that just friends still meant control. She didn't come at me directly after that. Instead, she tried to go around me. A mutual friend texted me one night, completely out of the blue. Hey man, are you okay? Chloe says you're kind of spiraling. I actually laughed out loud. I'm doing great. Why? Turns out she'd been telling people I was acting out of character, that I was being passive-aggressive, that I was clearly not over her. According to her, dating Olivia was some kind of revenge arc. The funny part? She never once mentioned that she was the one who asked to be just friends. A few days later, she finally confronted me face to face, cornered me outside a bar we used to frequent. Arms crossed, expression already loaded. So, you're really dating her? She said flatly. I am, I replied. She shook her head like she was deeply disappointed in me. I didn't think you were that kind of guy. What kind? I asked, my voice calm, almost detached. The kind who moves on with someone I see every day, she snapped. It's embarrassing. For who? I asked. She opened her mouth, then closed it. You know what I mean? No, I said, meeting her gaze squarely. I don't. That sent her over the edge. You're doing this to prove something, she accused, her voice rising. You want me to feel replaced? I looked at her for a long second before answering. You replaced yourself when you downgraded me to friend, but still expected boyfriend behavior. Her face flushed. That's not fair. Neither was stringing me along, I replied.
She scoffed.
So what? Olivia's your girlfriend now. Yeah, I said. She is. That was the first time I'd said it out loud. And the moment I did, I felt how true it was, how right. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Good luck. She'll get bored of you, too. I didn't defend myself. Didn't defend Olivia. I just smiled slightly and said, maybe. But she won't expect access to my life after she lets me go. She stood there stunned, like she'd just realized something irreversible had happened. And for the first time since the breakup, she wasn't the one walking away. I was. After that confrontation, things got uncomfortable. Fast. Not loud, not dramatic, just tense in that slow, simmering way that tells you someone is replaying conversations in their head and not liking the ending. She stopped texting me entirely, which honestly felt like a relief. But she didn't stop watching. Olivia mentioned it casually one night while we were making dinner at my place. Your ex keeps popping up on my Instagram, she said, half laughing. She watched my story from yesterday, like, immediately. I shrugged. She's very online. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Is this going to be a thing? That question mattered more than any of Chloe's passive-aggressive stories ever had. No, I said, and I meant it. The difference with Olivia was subtle, but constant. She didn't ask who else I was talking to. Didn't need reassurance that she mattered. When I said I was busy, she believed me instead of taking it as a personal insult, which made the contrast impossible to ignore. A few days later, Chloe finally broke her silence with a wall of text. No greeting, no context, just straight into it. She felt discarded, she said. It was wild how quickly I'd replaced her, and I clearly never cared as much as she thought. She accused Olivia of being a rebound and me of being emotionally avoidant. I read it once, then again, slowly. Then I replied with one sentence. You told me we were friends. This is what friends look like. She lost it. You're being cruel on purpose, she fired back. You know exactly what you're doing. I put my phone down and didn't respond. That night, Olivia and I went out with her coworkers. Casual bar, low lights, easy laughter. At one point, she leaned over and said, I really like how uncomplicated you are. I almost laughed at the irony. Across the room, I saw a familiar face.
Chloe.
She'd walked in with some friends and froze when she saw us. Saw Olivia's hand on my arm. Saw me leaning in to hear her over the music. For a moment, our eyes met. She looked shocked, then angry, then something else I couldn't quite place. Regret, maybe. I didn't wave. Didn't look away either. Just turned back to Olivia and kept talking. Later, Olivia asked quietly, Was that her? Yeah, I said. She nodded. Okay. No interrogation, no insecurity, just acceptance. And I realized then that my ex wasn't mad because I was dating someone new. She was mad because I was happy without needing her permission. After that night, the dynamic finally flipped. She stopped pretending she was indifferent. The passive-aggressive posts disappeared. The mutual friends stopped checking in. It was like she realized the audience wasn't buying the story anymore. Instead, she went direct. She texted me late one evening. No preamble. So, you're really serious about her? I was at Olivia's place, sitting on the couch while she was in the kitchen, arguing with herself about whether garlic counted as a personality trait. It felt normal. Easy. Yeah, I replied. I am. There was a long pause before her response came through. I just don't get how you could move on like that. That line annoyed me more than it should have. Not because it was hurtful, but because it was fundamentally dishonest. You moved on first. I typed. You just wanted me to stay. That one didn't get an immediate reply. When it did, it was classic her. I didn't think you'd take friends so literally. Most people don't just cut someone off emotionally. I exhaled slowly before responding. I didn't cut you off, I wrote. I adjusted. She called me after that. I didn't answer. She tried again. I declined. Then came the voicemail. Her tone was softer now, controlled, almost reasonable. I wasn't trying to lose you, she said, her voice laced with a subtle plea. I just needed you to stay while I figure things out. There it was. Finally said out loud. I didn't reply right away. I went back inside and helped Olivia set the table. We ate dinner, talked about weekend plans, laughed about something stupid. Then later that night, I sent one last message. Friends don't wait in limbo while you explore your options. That was it. No argument, no insults, no explaining.
She didn't respond.
The next day, Olivia told me Chloe had requested to follow her on Instagram. Olivia declined it without comment and handed me her phone like it was a non-issue. Boundaries, she said with a grin. I smiled back because at that point, I finally understood something important. My ex didn't lose me when I started dating someone else. She lost me the moment she assumed I'd accept less just to stay connected. And that was a lesson she wasn't handling well at all. It's been a couple of months now, and things have settled into something I didn't expect. Peace. No late-night texts. No, just checking in. No passive-aggressive stories meant for me to see. She finally stopped orbiting my life once it became clear there was nothing left to orbit around. Olivia and I are still together. Still easy, still normal in the best possible way. We argue sometimes, sure, but there's no scorekeeping, no tests, no unspoken expectations that I owe her my time just because she wants it. The last time I heard about my ex was through a mutual friend. Apparently, she'd been complaining that I changed after the breakup, that I became emotionally unavailable and cold. I didn't bother correcting that. From my perspective, I didn't become cold. I became consistent. I stopped bending myself into whatever shape made someone else comfortable while quietly resenting it. I stopped offering access to parts of my life that weren't being respected. When she said, "Let's just be friends," she thought she was choosing freedom without consequence. She thought friendship meant the benefits of intimacy, without the responsibility. She thought I'd stay exactly where I was. Available, validating, loyal, just without the label. What she didn't account for was boundaries. Real ones. Friends don't get exclusivity. Friends don't get emotional priority. Friends don't get to be upset when you move on. And friends definitely don't get to decide who you date. When she saw me with Olivia, happy, relaxed, not looking back, that's when it finally hit her. Just friends wasn't a downgrade for me. It was a reset.
So yeah.
I treated her exactly like I treat my other friends, with respect, with distance, and with a life that doesn't revolve around keeping them comfortable. Turns out, that was the part she couldn't handle. And honestly, that told me everything I ever needed to know. What about you? If someone downgraded you to just friends but still expected boyfriend privileges, how would you have handled it? And do you think my reaction was justified, or did I take it too far? Share your thoughts in the comments below.